Welcome back, everybody. It's Paul Maglev here with Dream Valley 2! Let me start by saying that although the next level takes us to Singapore, I do not know much about the island city-state. What I do know from cursory research is that it's home to the Land Transit Authority, a government agency in charge of two rail networks, the LRT and the MRT, meaning the Light Rail Transit and Mass Rapid Transit respectively. The crown gem of these rail networks, though, as publicized in the press across the world, is the Circle Line, a fully automated subway line. I will leave a link to this and other details in the video's description. The whole rail network has been working for decades improving the livelihoods of everyone in Singapore using conventional rail technology. The same, however, cannot be said for America's Hyperloop projects under Elon Musk. Sorry, Elon. Maybe if billionaires like you invested your money on something that already works instead of crashing rockets or breaking Cybertruck windows, we'd actually get somewhere. Instead, you evade paying taxes and exploit your workforce. Anyway, this level lacks new fancy gimmicks found in previous levels. I would say this level is pure, unadulterated rail construction and rail management, but that is not even half of what this level encompasses. I say this because several places that seem eligible for track construction forbid track building, like right here, which both dramatically slow down the level's pace. The two facets this level shares in common with previous levels are geographic bottlenecks and a customs facility, which both dramatically slow down the level's pace. It should go without saying, but the customs facility in this level is the bane of my existence, since it only opens when it receives paper, and paper production takes up a decent portion of each player's initial budget. I start on the left side of the map by connecting the main station to the glue factory, bank, and fulfillment warehouse providing natural rubber. On the right side of the map, I hook up another main station to the paper mill, university, and second fulfillment warehouse providing lumber. Building all of this, then delivering some people and goods, is the easiest part of the level. It only gets more difficult from here. Once enough money and paper are acquired, I decided to connect the rail network to customs, followed by the printing press at the top of the map to manufacture books. There is hardly enough money or resources at this point to do anything useful, so your best bet is to send a fully loaded train to open customs. I did not do this in the recording because I was being stingy and suffered the consequences, so avoid making my mistake of only sending one rail car to customs. If you made it this far and not run out of money, you should be in good enough shape to connect the left rail network to the right rail network, allowing for the delivery of glue and workers to the press. Connecting the power station is also a priority at this point. Looking back at this recording, it's pretty evident I floundered at first maintaining a steady flow of income, since my typical strategy for loading up stations with workers and raw materials was compromised. This I initially attributed to the limited storage capacity of each station and the fact that all raw materials cost money in this level. Connecting the press to the right rail network first might have also been a hindrance. What I can say, though, is that upgrading locomotives dramatically improves the efficiency of production for two reasons. First, it speeds up delivery, which saves time, allowing the passage of more trains through customs. It also enables players to dispatch trains that deliver 7 railcars instead of 6. This becomes especially handy when dispatching trains from fulfillment warehouses, because the cost of dispatching a train loaded with 6 railcars of natural rubber, for example, costs the same as a train loaded with 7 railcars of those same goods, so players get a long-term discount. The upgraded trains are also handy for mission objectives because 2 of the 3 mission objectives require goods and people in multiples of 7, which upgraded trains will certainly do in this level. After dispatching enough people and resources to manufacture a certain number of books, there should be enough funds to build 3 tunnels that connect the whole rail network together. These tunnels circumvent customs, meaning any tracks connected to it can be salvaged for cash. A few train dispatches later, and players should be able to make the last connections to the stock exchange, the fulfillment warehouse dispatching machinery, and the warehouse dispatching gold. All that is left to do from here is finish the remaining mission objectives and finish the level. Obviously, don't forget to make enough cash to earn the 5th star, which can be expedited with the stock exchange. With my advice for this level out of the way, let's move on to updates. This week started off as an opportunity for a reflection more than anything else. This is due to recent discoveries, which leave me no choice but to throw out my long-term plans, specifically my most recent iteration of plans for moving out. I was briefly given some false hope by the end of the week that I could move out to my late grandma's house, but new details came to light that make that plan also unviable. I'd love to elaborate on the matter, but that requires details I can't discuss right now. Short-term plans like publishing the remaining 2 videos for Train Valley 2's central campaign will stay the same, only now they will take priority above all else this month. This week is also the second week of non-stop circular saw activity coming from next door, so sleeping in has been compromised. The cold continues to present challenges when sleeping. The majority of the struggle is my fault, since I forgot how I used to stay warm in bed during the winter, even with the comforter and blanket covering the whole bed. Slowly but surely, I am remembering the sleeping positions I used to stay warm in the past. But it would be great if my techniques for staying warm at night didn't cause overheating and sweating by morning. The last hurdle to overcome this week might be editing this episode, because the footage for this week's video required a few extra steps, since it was recorded and formatted separately from all the other levels. This is more of an inconvenience than anything else, and next week's video obviously does not have the same issue. On a different note, my state went into lockdown again, and at first I hardly noticed any changes. Then I went to work, and it became apparent that the official press releases were as serious as they said they would be. I might still be employed as an essential worker, unlike some other people, but available shifts have been reduced, and the remaining stores that are open can only operate at 30% their max occupancy. This, combined with the focus on video production this month, will mean my efforts to receive job perks like the ability to schedule work 2 weeks in advance will be postponed until January. The only constants under these new COVID-19 restrictions are my ability to still access store essentials like food, and my continued inability to hang out with my friends in person. The proliferation of the vaccine might change that in the next year or so, but I'm not holding my breath waiting in anticipation to receive it anytime soon. The highlight of this week might be getting a new phone. I had no plans on getting a new phone, nor a desire to replace the one I had, but once I learned everyone in the house was getting a new one for free, I couldn't say no. The initial plan was to trade in my old phone for the new one, but when we realized it was cheaper to buy the new phone and temporarily add the old one to the family plan as an extra phone, we vied for that instead. This arrangement satisfies me for several reasons. The first is that I can satisfy my germophobic ideations by keeping my old phone nice and clean at home, and bring my new phone out into the world. I previously had to wipe down my phone every time I brought it home from work, the store, or anywhere else, but now I don't have to. The other reason I'm pleased with this arrangement is that the old phone can function as an iPod Touch. This allows me to play iOS games, or record gameplay on my 3DS. This could be done for reviews, or more likely for providing evidence of a Pokemon's legitimacy on the subreddit r/Pokemon trades. At the national level, the case of Texas v. Pennsylvania et al., a lawsuit bent on invalidating the electoral results from the states of Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan for setting up voting infrastructure that reduced the spread of COVID-19, was thrown out by the Supreme Court, making this case potentially the largest loss for the Trump administration's attempt to invalidate the presidential election results of 2020 through litigation. In fact, this case is one of over 50 cases the Trump administration lost in the last few weeks on the subject of the 2020 election. The links detailing the main Supreme Court case and another link discussing the other cases will be in the description below this video. I'm not surprised that Republican lawsuits to invalidate legitimately casted votes in certain states failed catastrophically. What surprised me was the amount of fervor there was to pursue those cases and the intent behind them. Since the plaintiffs in Texas v. Pennsylvania et al. Basically went out of their way to invalidate election results in other states, and by extension undermine the functioning of government, I have heard people in certain circles crying the plaintiffs committed sedition, a federal crime. But I'm not sure if that argument will translate into legal repercussions for the plaintiffs in the Supreme Court case, or their congressional supporters, who supported the plaintiffs through amicus curiae briefs or otherwise. Big picture, I'm not sure where America goes from here, but the Electoral College is still primed to vote Biden into office on December 14th, and the transition is still underway. I do look forward to the outcomes of other cases on the horizon, like the DOJ and FTC cases against Facebook. It would be great if Zuckerberg finally experienced some consequences for some, if not all, of his actions, and I'd love to go into more detail about that, but it's getting late and I should get this video published. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video, the final video I planned on publishing for Train Valley 2, as a matter of fact. And until then, take care, stay awesome, stay true to yourself, and remember to never give up. Bye everybody!